So I've had this BANSHEE Titan for a few weeks now actually. The fella gave it to me to test, set it up for him, get the fork and shock dialed, whatnot. First week, set it up as a 20, or it came as a 27.5. It came as a mullet, so 29 on the front, 27 on the back. Rode it at Horsnell's Gully and Fox Creek just to set it up and get a fair feeling of what this rear shock's doing. And when I got to Fox Creek, the shock started not spewing, but just tracing oil out of the bottom seal here where the shaft goes in, and it got worse and worse over the day as I probably did 4 runs, and by the 4th run it was just topping out completely, like started to become a little bit pogo sticky. So pulled it off, sent it away, got it rebuilt, came back, ran it as a full 29er and rode mainly at Fox and Waterfalls. So it felt good, felt really good as a 29er actually. It felt fast, it felt smooth, very like arrow, like very precision. The one thing that kind of held me back was this fork's a 51mm offset. Now 64.5 degree head angle, 170 fork. It felt a little bit like the front wheel needed a little bit more damping. It needed a little bit more steering damping. If you ride motos, you'd understand the steering damper. It felt a little bit too active on the steering, so a shorter offset would have brought that in. I adjusted pretty quickly. You just have to pay a bit more attention. So if you're running a 66 degree head angle, you definitely want that steeper, that longer offset. But once you get into your slacker head angle 65, 64, I think you want to go to the shorter offset for sure. So that's something I noticed. 452mm chainstay. Now this scared me a little bit at the start. Before I rode it, it's kind of deterred me a little bit. The things that deterred me from buying this bike initially was seat post height, or seat tube height is quite high, and the chainstays are quite long. Now I got on with these chainstays really, really easily. Quite quickly I was able to kind of start feeling at home with it. Wheelies, no worries. A little bit different with wheelies. Manuals, no worries. Again, a little bit different. Your centre of gravity is a little bit higher up, or your feet are a little bit higher up when your bike's vertical. But it didn't really bother me. I thought long chainstay was going to be hard to bunny hop over obstacles on the trail. Didn't affect me whatsoever. So it's a 470 reach. This is a large. I don't know if I could recommend the medium, being I think it's a 445 or a 450 reach with a 452 chainstay. I think that will make you feel like you're being pitched over the front constantly. Any longer a chainstay, I think I would have that feeling, because with this, when you tip it in, it feels normal to me now. But at the start, it felt like I was getting pushed forward a little bit on the bike. Once I adapted, it was okay. But I think any longer it would make me feel like that, unless the whole bike was longer. So if you're running a 480 or 490 reach, you could probably afford definitely the 450 chainstay, probably afford a little bit more. And I'd even go as far as to say a short chainstay on a long bike is detrimental. So a 430 or 435 chainstay on a 480 or a 490 reach is just way out of balance for cornering. Sin corners killer. It cuts a tighter corner than pretty much every bike I've demoed. It reminds me of my old Remedy. Even though it's long chainstay, when I'm doing my figure 8s out the front, I can do the tightest figure 8s I've done on any bike. So that impressed me as well. Seat tube didn't affect me anywhere until I started riding this steep stuff. So until I tipped it down Waterfall mainline DH. I've done a few runs of mainline DH now. 29er was just no good. No good with this seat up this high. This is a descend seat post, dropper post. So if you were to put a 1-up dropper in there, I measured it with my 1-up. If you were to put a 1-up dropper in here, you would save another 30mm of seat height. So you'd absolutely have to go with a dropper that has minimal outhang out of the seat tube before you get the actual adjustable height. So this is from this point here to the top of the seat tube is 50mm to the bottom of the rail there, and on my 1-up dropper I can get it to 20mm. So there's 30mm in there. So that would likely get me in a better position again, and maybe make a 29er acceptable for steep stuff as well. But once you go 27 out of the back, it's good that I went back and forth and back again. With the 27 out the back, everything's possible. All the steep stuffs are fine. There was no interference whatsoever. There was no feeling of this seat's too high. There was no feeling of the back end jacking me out. There was none of that. It just felt more confident. So fast, flatter trails, definitely either or. You could go 29er or 27. This climbs really, really well in a 27. It climbs well in a 29er as well. My slash, I've done 29er, 27.5, 29er for the back, and the slash climbs much better with the 29er on. This thing doesn't matter. This has got, maybe it's something to do with kinematics with the frame when you flip them over and whatever. So the flip chip on the slash is here. The flip on here is just the chainstay, the dropouts, sorry. So maybe that has an effect on it. Doing the minnow link on the Trek maybe changes the anti-squat or anti-rise and makes it a little bit sluggish with the 27.5, whereas this, it's the same. So your options are there. If you are looking for it, if you fall into the large category, if you're 170, probably 173 centimeters or more, up to 185, maybe 190, large for sure. You could run this with this long chainstay, but mediums, I don't know if I can recommend it as a medium. I'm not sure. If you have a medium, let me know. I don't know. I feel like the chainstay will be too long in comparison to the rest of the bike. So the two qualms that I had with it were kind of ironed out anyway. The chainstay's a killer, and the seat height was remedied with a 27.5 out the back. So loving that. Really long top tube, really long head tube. So my forks don't fit it. I've cut my forks down to 185mm steerer. This you'd want 195, I'd say, to be safe, to get a stem on there and have everything secure. The height overall isn't high. It's not. I'm running a 1075 bar height at that setup, which is fine. This rear shock, it's okay, but I'm running it completely open in the high-speed compression, and I thought, maybe I'm out of whack with this high. I will add some again after riding it with no high-speed compression and just dialing the low speed. So I ended up between 5 and 7 clicks from open on the low speed, and readdressed the high-speed compression, added a couple of clicks, and it's just shit again. It's just harsh again. So it's over damped with the high-speed compression, I believe, still. So I could probably even go 2 more. I don't know. You don't know until you've actually got control of it. But I think I could go 2 more clicks backwards, like lighter high-speed compression again, and then ramp up some low speed or reassess how the spring rate feels and whatnot. But 350 spring for my 76 kilos on the bike, maybe 77, dressed up. 350 with no preload. I'm not touching the bottom. I touched the bottom once. And another note, and this is this bike specific and this owner specific. So this shock, so on the BANSHEE website, they spec a 205 by 65 to get the 155mm travel out of this. This shock, when I check the ID code, is a 205 by 60. So this may not even be giving me the travel that I need. It might not even be giving me the full travel I need. Or the full travel that the bike comes with. Set it up at 18mm of sag, which I kind of ignored there. They say 15 to 17.7, but for me, that 15 to 17.7 of sag is very tall in the back. Very feels like you're not deep enough in the sag. Feels like you're not deep enough in the sag to corner the bike well. So I ignored that and I went with what felt right, and what the 205 by 65, the 65mm stroke kind of wanted. Or no, that's wrong. It was what the 60mm stroke wanted. I went for, which is where I got the 18mm from. So I don't know whether it's a typo on their website. This is an aftermarket shock too. This is a shock that whoever owned this previously bought and put on. So consideration, maybe that shock's wrong. If you know for sure what it's supposed to, I'm sure it's supposed to be a 205 by 65. But anyway, frame. You guys know I've spoke about these Banshees before with the frames. So I've done the Rune, I've done the Paradox V3, which was the hardtail. I've done the Phantom V3, which was a 115mm travel at the rear. And every time I get on one of these bikes, the frames impress me wildly. They're very stiff, they're very rigid, and they're very fast. The Paradox full 29er was too harsh in the back, so I went a 27.5 and that thing was wicked. That opened my eyes to the Banshees using a material that seemed to me superior. Don't know about longevity. I'm not sure about whether that's more robust, but the numbers suggest that they're more robust. The alloy seems to have better fatigue resistance and all of the... It just seems like a better metal for sure. And when I ride it, it absolutely stands out to me as a better metal. It's a far stiffer bike than my Slash, alloy for alloy. This is a better alloy, like I said. The only downside is the cable rattle. And when you're sending it hard enough, you won't really notice the cable rattle, but it's there. It's absolutely there, and it's going to be... Yeah, it'll annoy you if you don't come up with a solution. So I really don't know what the solution would be outside of putting some... so take the fork out and slide some insulation foam, the length of that. You get it from Bunnings, like pipe insulator, like copper pipe insulation. Run that down there and then run your cables through that. And I think that would be a great solution. But I didn't do it, obviously. I didn't get around to doing that. So the cable rattle is the only thing I don't like about this bike. The colour, this is obviously raw steel. It's got a clear frame protector on it, so that's cool. I'd probably go the black. I'd probably go the matte black and put a clear protector on it. So, yeah, this bike may make it, or one of these bikes may make it into my shed one day. This is... every time I get on one of these Banshees, I don't like other alloy. I don't like it. This has got the stiffness of a carbon bike, without the fragileness and the tinny, that feel, that harsh feel, like hitting a cricket ball on the end of the cricket bat with no gloves on. That ding, that's what I feel out of carbon frames. The alloy doesn't really do that as much. So. Love the frame, yeah. Love the Banshee frames. The fork came absolutely clapped. It came with, I've already spoken about it, it came with the oils from Shotcraft, or the Shotcraft recommended, and it was terrible. It felt garbage. So I serviced it, pulled everything out, changed seals in the air side, but I didn't change seals in the damp side. I just changed the oil and flushed it and cleaned it properly. So the seals in the damper are probably still damaged, or may not be still damaged. It doesn't feel excellent, but it feels way better than it was. It's probably 90% of what my Lyric is. And I do love the control of a high-speed compression. So my Lyric doesn't have high-speed compression, and I'm definitely a click short of high-speed compression on that Lyric. So overall, this bike's sick. Magura brakes, MT7 brakes, excellent power. Wouldn't go and say they're better than my XTs, but they are excellent. So I've got 200 rotor front and back, but the back one feels like it needs a bleed. It doesn't pull up as well as the front does. It doesn't have that same strong, hard feeling. But they are powerful, but I don't like the idea of having the 4 pads instead of 2 pads in a set. So you've got 4 little pads instead of two wider ones. And the discs, yeah, the discs are... They're not cool. Have a look at this. I don't know if you can see that. I don't like that, but it doesn't affect me on the ride. After all this time I've ridden it, you don't notice it on the ride. So the only thing I noticed with the brakes was that little bit spongy at the back. If the bleed process is easy, these brakes are killer. If the bleed process isn't easy, then it may be a consideration. But the lever is probably the best lever I've felt. I love this lever. It's big, chunky, and it hooks your finger really, really well. So I think there's a very low chance of slipping off of those levers. They're comfy. They feel good. So that's it. The Banshee Titan. Another Banshee under the belt, and another very satisfied ride, for sure. What do I do? Do I get one? Or do I not? I'll have to sell the Trek. I'll have to sell both my fork, or sell my fork, and buy another fork, which isn't a big deal, but yeah, I'd definitely go an Olin's shock or a Super Deluxe. I don't know if I'd go a Super Deluxe. Super Deluxe has just got a big fat heavy spring. It's the only thing that lets me down with that Super Deluxe. I'd go on Olin's, I reckon. Olin's or EXT. So anyway, that'll do. That's enough about this this bike. It's sick as a 29er. It's sicker as a mullet. Pick your poison. Pick your poison. I know that BANSHEE, well, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that BANSHEE are pretty good with their warranties as well. So if you do have a frame issue, they're going to be there for you. So that's, yeah. I'll probably end up on a BANSHEE next, I think. This thing's killer. Right on.